Hello everyone, Mason here. How are you doing? The evolution of a reader. This tag was created by Jack from Spread Book Joy. Charming, intelligent and kind. Can we ask for anything more from a teacher? It seems to me that the future is in safe hands. In the unlikely event that you're not familiar with Spread Book Joy, there will be a link in the description of this video. Over the years, a love for storytelling in all its forms has been the glue that held my relationships together. From my parents to my friends and my partner, Lee, I've bonded with everyone that I've ever loved through stories. Books and TV, music and video games have been the passion that kindled the fires of our conversations and kept them burning over the years. I've learned so much through my favourite stories, even if they're just anecdotal tales of everyday life. After all, what are we if not a collection of short stories that make up the anthology of our experiences? I can't remember a time when I didn't love a good story. Some of my earliest memories are of my mum reading the Harry Potter series to me. Chapter by chapter, book by book, we took that journey together. My little brother, Aidan, was born just as I started reading The Order of the Phoenix. Obviously my mum was busy, being a mum, and doing a bloody good job of it, but I was an impulsive 10-year-old, and I finished the series without her. I know you don't hold it against me, Mum, but if I could go back in time and wait so that we could experience those highs and lows together, I definitely would. It was my dad who sparked my obsession with The Lord of the Rings. I saw him reading it and asked if I could ever go. I was pointed in the direction of The Hobbit and told that if I enjoyed that, the trilogy would be mine. The rest is history. Over the years we've had many conversations about Middle-earth, and I personally feel that it's a cornerstone of our relationship. Those two series are inextricably linked to my love for my parents. I can't think of Hogwarts without thinking of my mum. I can't think of the Shire without thinking of my dad. In my opinion, those two series are instrumental in shaping me. They both have such a strong focus on the power of love and friendship, which I now value above all else. I strive to be the best friend I can possibly be. All my life I've wanted to be somebody's Samwise Gamgee. Maybe I would have valued friendship just as much, would have been equally as empathetic without books, but I'll never know, so they can take the credit. My teenage years arrived, and I started selecting books for myself. I was introduced to the wacky world of Darren Shan's writing by one of my first crushes. Both The Demon Arthur and The Saga of Darren Shan were series that I could not get enough of. The day I attended a local signing for Hell's Heroes was absolutely amazing. I had a picture taken with one of my favourite authors, a writer of over-the-top gory goodness, as he pretended to throttle me. It was one of the coolest moments of my life. There was another world that drew me in, one arguably more fantastical than any that contained actual magic, elves or dwarves. The world of young adult spy fiction. Although it seems slightly ridiculous to me now, I loved both the Alex Rider series by Anthony Horowitz and the Cherub series by Robert Muchamore. Now that I think about it, maybe they planted the seeds that grew into my love for thrillers. I'm determined to return to Alex Rider at some point. I'm curious to find out what my boring adult brain thinks of the government using an adolescent boy as a spy, because my teenage brain thought, okay, makes sense. I'm sure I'd still enjoy it on some level. Within the last few years I reread The Power of Five, another series by Anthony Horowitz, and I had a good time with it, although that is quite possibly due to the nostalgia goggles rather than anything else. Growing up visually impaired, I always struggled to get a book close enough to my face and hold it so that my head didn't overshadow the pages. I had to contort myself into some seriously uncomfortable positions. As I progressed into my late teens and early 20s, my sight had deteriorated to the point where reading a physical book just wasn't a comfortable experience. This deterioration led into what I call the dark ages of my reading. E-readers hadn't quite become the accessible phenomenon that they are now. I'd never learned Braille, I was too stubborn to listen to audiobooks, and so I just stopped. I went 8 years without really reading anything, and it wasn't until I decided to listen to an unofficial, aka free version of 1984 and was subsequently introduced to Booktube that I rediscovered my love for reading. I was Alice down the rabbit hole, falling into the welcoming wonderland that is the bookish community. Before long, I had the bug. I wanted to go. I wanted to contribute. In early 2021, I picked up Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series, and Mason in the Dark was born. I expected to be a dedicated fantasy reader when I first started the channel. As many of you know, that hasn't ended up being the case. For the most part, I seem to enjoy stories that are mostly grounded in reality. Crime and thrillers are my weakness, another connection to someone that I love. I can't see a fictional detective without thinking of Manannan. That doesn't mean that I don't still occasionally enjoy a good fantasy novel. I even did so recently, but I'm not going to talk about that, because in the words of the Great River Song, spoilers. Booktube has turned me into an active reader. I can't just pick up a book and soak in the story anymore. That ability is lost to me, like a media student who can't just switch off and watch a film for the sake of it anymore. These days, as I listen to an audiobook, I'm constantly thinking about the pros and cons of the plot. I analyse the character development and the language that the author uses. I try to get ahead of their evil schemes and work out what the plot twists will be. I think about how I would have written it and what lessons I can learn. The thing I'm most grateful for is that Booktube got me back into reading, which got me into writing. I've always been a creative person. My acting roles include a shepherd in The Nativity, an ugly sister in Cinderella, and a lawyer that was actually a window cleaner. You've got to love school plays. As a teen, I loved music. I soaked up the emo culture of the mid-2000s, dyed my hair black with a purple streak, wore fingerless gloves and painted my nails. I tried to be a vocalist in a number of bands, all of which failed miserably. Over the years, I wrote a lot of songs and poems, but fiction had always evaded me. The problem was I was too ambitious. I tried to tackle a novel, inevitably hit writer's block, and gave up. It wasn't until I decided to write The View from the Fifth Floor that I ever actually finished a story, and the moment I made that video public was a proud one. You just need to focus on writing short stories, I told myself, and I listened to that advice for about 5 minutes until Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative joked that I was too nice to write horror. I'm a stubborn bastard, so I set out to prove her wrong, and The Bleeding Ground was born. It's now just over a year later, and I'm currently 6 volumes deep. It's a series that I'm incredibly proud of, and it's taken directions that I never expected. I love writing. I love it more and more every day. It's something that I feel I'm actually kinda good at, and I can see my progress as time goes by. It's a journey, and if I stick at it, who knows what the future holds. None of it would be possible without Lee. Not only does she do a fantastic job of editing all my videos, without complaint I might add, but I'm always bouncing ideas off her, and no matter how many times I ask her to listen to a passage, she puts up with it. Lee gives me the confidence that I'm on the right track, and I can achieve the things that I want to achieve. For various reasons, Lee is a massive part of why I'm so invested in character development, which is my favourite part of writing. As a kid, I turned sticks into swords and magic wands. I made dramatic speeches and punched my enemies in the face. These days, I just get my characters to do that for me. Thanks, Jack. This was an original, thought-provoking tag, and I enjoyed tackling it. There's no question today. I tell you what, let's play a game instead. Find the nearest book with gold writing on the cover. Open it to page 30, and the first name you see will be the name of your future nemesis. Who do you need to be on the lookout for? Let me know in the comments section. Have you enjoyed this video? The like and subscribe buttons are just sitting there, waiting to be pressed. Now press them, or I'll give you 1,000 paper cuts. If you've got thoughts to share, or you want to say hi, you know where the comment section is, and the link to my Twitter can be found in the description. Thanks ever so much for spending time with me today, guys. Until next time, take care. For now I'm off, and you should have a good one.